Alright guys, welcome back. I thought I'd run through some of this with you, since it is set up. And this being, of course, Fury in the West. Playing Fury in the West in the Furious South here. Got some Gods and Generals soundtrack in the background that's subject to change. Thought I'd give it a shot though, as it fits nicely with the game on the table. I did start the first turn and didn't get very far. No reason, just didn't. Confederates go first, that's what they did. Little movement, little combat. I think what little combat did occur were even exchanges. I did suffer a... Where am I at here on the camera and the thing? Alright, I did suffer a withdrawal here. That was the only thing that tipped the scale. Otherwise, everything's still the same. The white cubes represent being in column formation, which aids in movement. We'll get to all that. But there's penalties when it comes to combat, of course, if you're in column. Now, it's the Union's turn. Wanted to go over a couple of things here in the rule book before we jump in. Stacking's fairly straightforward. Basically, 2 units to a hex, and then there's this weird bluff hex rule. I was calling these ridge lines or whatever, but they're actually called bluff hexes. I'm going to ignore that rule. In fact, there are a couple of rules. I'm going to ignore that being one of them. Sacrilege, I know, but hey, you know, it's my game. I can do it how I like. Then we go into movement. And with movement, you've got infantry can move up to, and artillery, I should add, can move. They have 4 movement points, right? And then there's various movement costs depending on the terrain. Now here's the deal. If you move without a general officer in the same hex, you can only move half of your movement allowance, which would be, what, 2 movement points. And that's standard across the board for everybody. Now, if you have your officer with you, such as this unit here, has his officer with him, he can move his full allotment if the officer stayed with him throughout the move. Otherwise, your movement's cut in half. It's simple, but I like it. I like what it's trying to represent. Let's see. You have facing, as I mentioned, so you can only move into your 3 forward hexes. And then it costs a movement point for each hex side you turn, etc. Then, let's see. That plays into... there's stragglers. An infantry unit will lose 1 strength point when it moves and recover 1 when it does not. So, to go further into detail there, I'm reading, and bear with me, I'm reading here. All right, so if you are to move in battle, there's two formations you can do: battle, or I guess you could technically call it line, or get away with calling it line, but they say battle formation, or column. Now, if you move battle formation in line, if you will, you're going to lose 1 straggler, regardless of how much you move. Just 1 strength straggler point. But you can regain that if you do nothing on the next turn. That is to say, I guess, don't move on the next turn. You can change facing if you don't move into a new hex without losing stragglers. An infantry unit that does not enter a new hex but only turns 1 or more hex sides in its original hex will not lose any stragglers. And then it says an infantry unit that does not enter a new hex, is not in an enemy zone of control, has no enemy units in its zone of control, and also does no turning in its original hex, can recover 1 strength point of straggler. So basically doing nothing. And then it gets to your column formation, and units in column formation, they have no zone of control. And it does cost 1 movement point to change your formation. So if you're in battle formation, you want to switch to column, that's 1 movement point. Changes in formation. Units in column form. Here's a benefit of being in column. Units in column formation do not expend movement points to turn from hex side to hex side or change facing. Units in column can use roads and trails for faster movement. I don't have trails represented here. To gain this advantage of faster movement, units in column. Here's a so it benefits you to be in column to move, right? Basically, you don't lose stragglers. Is that what I just said? Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm reading in my head. So if you stay in column formation, you get some bonuses such as not losing stragglers, but you do get penalties. One whopper of a penalty being that if it comes to combat and you're stuck in column, your strength points are halved, and that really takes its toll. So that's column formation, stragglers, movement, and then combat. So let's go with the union here. I need to get a drink of this. It's about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half ago. I'd be holding a Red Bull in my hand, but this is the replacement for Red Bull. Topo Chico. It is the best sparkling water I've found, and I've tried them all. Man, this has got some bite to it. You know, the carbonated stuff that I love so much about soda and whatnot. And it's really helped me drink water. I was drinking no water prior to the discovery of the sparkling water business. So, yay to me. And it's that bite that I love. I never thought water would have bite to it, but it is. So I'm gonna start, I don't know if you can see. If I'm up here, can you see me? I think you can. Let me turn you a little bit. There's only so many places to set this camera without screwing everything up. So I'm gonna move up here first. And I've been using white cubes to represent column movement. Now all of these guys here, no reason for them not to use column movement, and that's what we'll do. But I need something other, because I don't have enough white cubes to represent column movement. So, what to use? Let's use, I guess we'll use these blue cubes. Four movement points is what they have. Now this guy, for instance, this guy being for Vich, has no general officer with him, so he can only move half, right? So that will be 1, 2, 1, 2. This is the farthest he's going to get. And I take that back. If he's out, they all start in battle formation, so 1 movement point to switch to column, and he only gets to spend half because of his not having a general officer with him. That only gets him a measly 1 hex up. Now these guys do have, these guys being Williams under Hurlbutt. Okay, enough of that. Since he's with Hurlbutt, he can move his full allotment. Now he's going to change to column formation, and that gives him 3 left to actually move up. But then he's got this Creek hex side, which is, I think, where's my chart? +1 or something like that. Stream is double, so 1 to change, that leaves 3. 2, that leaves the remainder crossing that stream, that puts him up here. He has essentially moved 2 hexes up. This guy here is only going to be able to move 1. He's without a general officer. And he had to switch to column. Then we have same here. He's only going to be able to move 1. Switches to column, then 1 left, moves up 1. Mark him accordingly. Same here on this non-brigaded. Mark him. So I've moved the 4th and the see MacArthur from the 2nd and this non-brigaded up. And then we have Stewart, who is actually, if you remember, 2 hexes off map. Is without a general officer. Switches to column and moves at least 1 to actually move a physical hex. That puts him right on the road there, and he's still technically 1 hex off map. Mark accordingly. Marked, sir. And then we have this guy right by the bridge would be, is that Tull? Tull. Not all that subtle, is going to move. So remember, it's 1, 2. I think that bridge affects nothing. Cross bridge, column formation, it is nothing. So 1, and that's going to put him right, because he's without a general officer, right at this tri-crossroads. Mark his column. And this guy has his general officer with him. I think that is Sweeney. Are you Sweeney? I think that is. That is Sweeney. He has 4 to work with, 1 to change to column, 2, 3 to cross the stream. 4 puts him right there on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. Alright, so there's that. Mark as column. No, not with a red, with a blue. Thank you. Alright. Moving right along. This guy is gonna go. This guy being. Jesus, I can't read these names. I'm sorry, y'all. They're just so tiny. Marsh? I think that's Marsh. Verification. Anyway, he's moving. Now he can't cross this stream to get into this wheat field, which would be ideal, because he doesn't have movement points to do it. But he can change the column and move 1 hex this way, which finishes him. Although, now that I'm getting closer, I don't know that moving in the column, changing in the column is necessarily to my benefit, so maybe I'll take that back. Battle formation. So having done that, well, okay, again, right, so if you remember, if I don't change the column, I'm going to lose a straggler, but then I get it back if I do nothing. But then if I'm caught in combat, I'm lost half my strength points anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and move him there and call it a day for him. He is not in column. I have to keep track of where I'm at here. Give me a little marker. I need a marker to keep track of where I'm at, so I know who's done what. So everybody behind this, essentially everybody behind, because I forget things, right? For behind that line has done stuff. Let's go here. He's going to stay as well. No, he only moved 1. I wonder if I put him. He's actually going to move here. That would be 2, and that's all he's allowed. Then we have, I don't want to move, because I do count these in combat, these bluff hexes. I don't want to get stuck, so he could move here, but then when it comes to combat in the next turn, he's going to get stuck with a problem being down there. So he stays here. We'll just go ahead and bring him up. That puts him in position to fight in the second segment of the Union turn. And then we have, let's change a hex side. No, let's not. They're still in the zone of control. So I don't need to turn to fight. And if I turn to fight, then I risk having my flank to this guy if he comes that way. Me being that guy, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Keep these guys where they're at, right? If I bring him around... Oh, 1, 2... Alright, so I need to mark the stragglers that have been lost. So we've got, I think that's McDowell on 5. Where's McDowell? McDowell on 5. Mark him, he's lost a straggler, which again, you can get these guys back. He stayed here. He moved up, right? I don't remember. I know he moved up. He did as well. Marsh and... what's that, Wraith? And then the T1. Marsh, Wraith, Marsh. And the 1st Division Artillery have all lost stragglers because they moved in battle formation, not in column. For the love of God, I can't remember if I moved him or not. I don't think I did. That brings us over here. You guys see over here, make sure I'm not going to be off camera. Off camera, so I need to turn. Let's turn. There we go. Bring these guys forward. Maybe. Yeah. You know, this center worries me because it's basically open until you get to... So, we've got... the second that can move straight down the gut until they hit, I believe that's Sweeney. But that worries me as the Union. And Jesus, this doesn't look good either. Keeping that the way it is. Well, I'm stupid not to attack them if they're in column. But then in doing so, I place myself adjacent to 2 hexes of stuff, so that's not good either. So I guess just stay here, right? Alright, that's that. I'm staying put pretty much there. There's a lot of Confederates coming at me. And it may not be so pretty there. Let's move to the combat phase for the Union. The Confederates already had theirs. And who can fight? Well, basically anybody that has... We would have to conduct combat with anybody that's in your zone of control or basically adjacent to you. That would include this here, mark it. This here, mark it. This here, mark it. And I think that's it, right? Nope, we got one more battle that's going to take place over here. Since the camera's already pointed over there, let's let's go there first. And it's just your odds ratio stuff. So we have Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine fighting something. Oh, Peabody, your strength is 10 against this reserve guy. Statham, who is 10 as well, but he has an reserve artillery unit, which is 6. So that's 16. That's going to be 2 to 1, or 1 to 2, I should say. Nope, they're in columns, so it's going to be 1 to 1. Lucked out there. Let's roll the die. No conditions, that is to say, no special conditions, which means we're going to roll in the C column here. It is 1 to 1. 1 to 1 here. And we're going to roll on the C column. Now I'll check to verify that. And then depending on what you roll, you'll get a result for both the attacker and the defender. It took me a second to figure out what was going on there. I'm going to go ahead and roll. Lower the better. I got a 1. Now here's the deal. I'm going to add a number to that. Why? Because they have an officer with them, I do not. That 1 now becomes a 2 on a 1 to 1 column. And the 2 result is the defender. Well, we both lose a strength point, but the defender will now withdraw 1 hex. Right? That's right. So I'm not going to mark them accordingly. So without stepping on the power strip, remove this. Now he's going to withdraw 1 hex. That can just be right here, let's say. And that was, what, Statham? Yeah. So he goes from 10 to now 9. And do they lose a straggler if they withdraw? What just fell? I guess nothing fell. A straggler if they withdraw? Oh, and the reserve artillery loses. No, that's just 1. Okay, so, and then Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine loses 1 strength point. Where you at, Peabody? There he is. That brings that up to a 2. And that's that. I mean, that's pretty much the game. We'll finish out these other combats here. When you withdraw, do you lose a straggler point? Answer that me. Column, combat results. So what are the results? You can have 1, 2, or 3 represent the number of strength points lost, a withdrawal, a rout, or a pursuit. Okay. Yep. They're going to lose 1 straggler for withdrawing, and that is Statham. I can't remember anything. Statham, you lose. Statham's down to Statham, boy. 8. God, I hate flutes. Alright, 8. Strength of 8 is what Statham's down to. They lost a straggler and a strength point because they had to withdraw. That brings us down here. Let's go down here. Can you see? Let me make sure you can see. Right here, yes. So this combat right here, and that is, I think, Wraith. Ring Wraith and T1. What's Wraith's strength? Wraith has a strength of 8 with the 1st Division Artillery, a strength of 5. It's 13. They both have officers, so that cancels that out. What is... I can't read it. Second. Chalmers is 12. Really? Chalmers is that strong? Jesus. All right, so that's 1 to 1. No, it's not. It's 2 to 1 because Chalmers is in column. See how that wrecks you? That was a mistake on my part as the Confederates. So now we're on the 2 to 1 column. On the C column, we're rolling a die, the lower the better. That's terrible. 2 to 1, roll a 6. Jesus. Now it's the opposite. We both lose 1, but I withdraw and lose an additional straggler as the Union. Because I rolled so horribly. Even though they were half strength at column. Jesus, what a mess. Alright, so that's Chatham and Wraith and T1, Chatham and Wraith. So Wraith has now lost 2 stragglers. Where is Chalmers? Is it Chalmers? What am I looking at here? I think that's Chalmers. If this was like 1 type font bigger, that is Chalmers. So he loses 1 strength point. So that was Chalmers. He's now down to a strength of 11, and Wraith is now down to a strength of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Started out with a 9. So Wraith is getting beat on like an unwanted stepchild. Then we got this combat here at the bottom. Can everybody see? There we go. Right in here. Now I can combine, right? I don't see why not. Should get favorable results here because I've got a flank attack combined together. How does a flank attack work? Alright, let me check the rules here and make sure I do this right. How does a flank attack work if just one of you is flanking? I don't understand. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Combat result. All right, here's what I'm doing. That's McDowell and I can't 5 McDowell and 5 Buckland. McDowell and Buckland. Buckland is 8. McDowell has 7. That's 15. What do they have? They have an officer. Well, both have officers. 15, and that is 3rd. Hinman has 8. So that is, does Hinman have artillery? Yes, he does. That's the 3-2. 3-2 artillery. 9. So that's 2 to 1. They're in column, so that makes it 3 to 1. And this is 3 to 1. Column A is used if all attack units are separated from all defending units by stream hexes. And so we're going to use 3 to 1. We're going to use column B because it's they're on a ridge line. our bluff hex. 3 to 1, column B, and we got a flank modifier. Wow. Hold on. Make that 4 to 1. We roll a 1 on column B. Effects on the attacker. Wow, so they lost 3 strength points with a retreat, a rout, and we got a pursuit result as the attacker. 3 strength points with a rout. And we'll make sure I mark that and we'll move. 1, 2, 3. Henman, who had a strength of 9, now has a strength of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that, I think he'd already had a strength point missing. Now he routs. How do you do rout? Move the, wow, check this out. R marker. And he loses 2 strength points and stragglers. Wow, okay. Alright, hold on. Which artillery was that for the south? That was 3-2. 3-2. Where are we? Oh, that artillery's pretty much done unless he can rest up. Then he routes 4 hexes? For real? 1, 2, and we'll have to mark him with a marker. He just about routed off map. I mean, he's really close. I'd say he's on the map edge here. One of these to mark where he's at on the map since he's off this map. And then there's pursuit. So how does pursuit work? The affected player has the option to move into vacated enemy hexes. And I'm going to roll the die again. If I get a 6, that general officer that's with them is no longer with them. That did not happen. And I don't really see that. Yeah, I do. I am going to move. No, I'm not. I think this guy will move into that vacated hex, but these guys are going to stay put. And that's that. So that brings us to turn 2. Any reinforcements on turn 2? No. Here's our reinforcement schedule. Thus. Not till we get to turn 4, then we get this General Officer Grant. He sounds familiar. Have anybody, you guys ever heard of a guy named Grant? Maybe 1 or 2 of you. And then we get to 9, and we got all kinds of cavalry we can start raining in. Turn 10, we get some infantry. Turn 12, we'll get quite a number of things. 3 infantry, some artillery, another general officer. And then turn 14, we get another Union infantry. Nothing for the Confederates. So that's where we're at with that. And that concludes turn 1. So again, as I already stated, there's nothing overly complicated going on here. You saw what I did. The only taxing thing is marking your losses on the record sheets over here. I'll let you look at what that's going on with that. So as you can see here, the cubes on the right represent stragglers. The cubes on the left represent strength point losses. Now the cubes on the right can be reversed. Again, remember, if you do nothing on a turn. So, but the ones on the left, the strength point losses, those are permanent. You can't reverse those. Put you back here. Let me see if there's anything I want to add. I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that I've Anything essential anyway that I've left out? I haven't even blinked at the optional rules. We've got night turns, flanking attitude, which I've already pretty much added to the game. Bayonet charges, prisoners, and let's see, about face, 180-degree turns. Optional number of units per hex, so that amends the original stacking rule. You have an alternate Confederate first day setup. Well, it's too late for that. And then your fog of war, but no fog required here as it's being done solo. What else do we have here? For those of you that have this game, you can read the historical commentary by Mr. Harmon for more information regarding the battle. You have it's good old replacement parts and rules questions. I'm going to send in and see if I get any answer. All right, that's Fury in the West. Again, nothing that none of you shouldn't be able to handle. If this is a game that you have sitting on your shelf and never messed with it, maybe it's time to bust it out and knock the dust off and see what you think. Is this a game you need to run out and buy? I don't know. I'll just say no. There are lots of other things that you should probably be spending your money on if it comes to spending money. When it comes to the Civil War, again, I am no expert on the Civil War. That is one of my weak points. As is the World War I. Now, my interest in World War I is significantly greater than the Civil War, and then I would add the Revolutionary War I have little to no interest in. And Ancients, very limited interest. Certain things, but that's about the extent of it. And my expertise is very weak when it comes to Ancients as well. I would say my strong suit is World War II and Napoleonics. Modern day stuff, I don't dislike it, but I don't tend to mess with it too much. There's a few things that I Dawn's Early Light that I've gone off on a tangent here. This is fairly easy and quick, but I've got a kick out of this the few times that I played it. Thought that was a fine game. And of course, World at War, Eisenbach Gap is decent. There's a couple other things, but yeah, so that's it. I'll let you guys go. I'm going off on a tangent. And again, I wanted to share some of that with you. I'll continue to do this as long as my interest remains such, but I really am still leaning towards filling this table up with a bunch of little nappies. So, all right, y'all. I've gone on enough. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.